In a quiet town, just before dawn, Daniel Reed started his yellow school van. For years, this was his ritual. Wake up, wash up, clean the van, check the tires, and begin his route. Life wasn't easy, but Daniel believed in hard work, not complaints. He lived in a small, two-room house with his elderly mother, Margaret, and his 6-year-old son, Ethan. Their home, though modest, was filled with warmth. Margaret doted on Ethan, telling him stories and helping with homework when Daniel came home exhausted from a long day of driving. Years ago, Daniel had married Olivia. She had big dreams of becoming a police officer. Daniel, a supportive husband, worked double shifts, driving his van from sunrise to sunset. He poured his earnings into her college books, training classes, and exam fees. He never once complained, believing her success would be their family's happiness. And she did succeed. Olivia became a senior police officer. Daniel was immensely proud, telling everyone about his hard-working wife. But success changed Olivia. Her confidence grew, but so did the distance between them. She spent less time at home, eventually moving into a government apartment closer to her station for convenience. Daniel accepted it, focusing on his route and raising Ethan with his mother's help. One morning, Daniel's route was blocked by a police checkpoint. The officers, bored and looking for a target, stopped his van. Before he could say a word, one officer grabbed his collar. "Where do you think you're going?" He shouted. "Officer, I'm just starting my school route." Daniel replied politely. "You broke a traffic rule. Pay a $500 fine." The officer snapped. Daniel was confused. He knew he'd done nothing wrong. "Sir, what rule did I break?" he asked. They didn't answer. "Pay the fine or come to the station," another officer said coldly. Daniel felt a strange calm. His wife, Olivia, worked at that very station. Surely, she would clear up this misunderstanding. "All right," he said quietly. "Take me to the station." The officers were surprised, but pushed him into their vehicle. At the station, Daniel waited on a wooden chair. He could hear Olivia's stern voice from her office, shouting into the phone, "Do not use my name for personal favors. My authority is not for misuse." When she came out, a constable explained the situation. "Madam, this man broke traffic rules and refuses to pay the fine." Daniel looked at his wife with a hopeful smile, expecting recognition, maybe even a little surprise. But Olivia's face was a mask of indifference. She glanced at him for a fleeting second and said, "If he refuses to pay the fine, seize his vehicle and send him away." Daniel's heart shattered. The vehicle she ordered seized was the very van he drove to fund her education. He looked at her, pleading with his eyes for her to reconsider, to at least acknowledge him. But she avoided his gaze. "Remove him from here," she commanded. "He can get his van back through court tomorrow." Daniel walked out of the station, feeling a brokenness he had never known. The woman he had sacrificed everything for had treated him like a complete stranger. Back home, he told his mother what had happened. Margaret sighed, reminding him of all the sacrifices he'd made for Olivia's ambition. Ethan played quietly in the corner, oblivious. The next day, Daniel didn't go to the station. An angry Olivia showed up at their house. instead of a calm greeting. She immediately criticized how they were raising Ethan. The argument escalated. "Why didn't you come for the van?" she demanded. Daniel replied softly, "If you cared, you never would have let them take it." This enraged her. "I cannot live with an uneducated man like you anymore," she screamed, grabbing a crying Ethan by the hand. He reached for his grandmother, begging to stay, but Olivia dragged him away. Months passed. Olivia hired a maid for Ethan, and Daniel and his mother rarely saw the boy. One day, the maid took Ethan to the market. He spotted his grandmother, Margaret, and ran into her arms, sobbing. He whispered that he didn't want to live with his mom. He told her a strange man often visited their apartment, and that the man and his mother would shout at him, sometimes even hit him. Margaret's heart filled with dread. She told Daniel everything. A few days later, they went to Olivia's apartment unannounced. When Olivia opened the door, she looked nervous. Daniel walked into the bedroom. A man was lying on Olivia's bed, while Ethan slept on another bed nearby. Daniel recognized him. Captain Richard Blake, Olivia's senior officer. The betrayal hit him like a physical blow, and in a moment of pure shock and anger, he slapped Olivia. Captain Richard jumped up, demanding to know who Daniel was. "He's just my useless husband," Olivia said coldly. Those words were the final cut. Without another word, Daniel lifted his sleeping son as he turned to leave. Olivia handed him divorce papers, already prepared. He signed them silently and walked out with his son and his mother. But life has a way of turning things around. While cleaning, Margaret found old ownership papers for a piece of land Daniel's late father had bought. The land, now in a prime location, was incredibly valuable. They sold it, and suddenly they had the means to rebuild their lives. Daniel went back to school, studying for the civil service exams with a relentless focus. 2 years later, he passed, becoming a police superintendent. The news celebrated the former school van driver who became a high-ranking officer. Meanwhile, Olivia's life was unraveling. Captain Richard had secretly filmed her taking bribes and was blackmailing her. The video eventually leaked, destroying her career and reputation. She lost everything. One evening, she showed up at Daniel's door, begging for forgiveness. He looked at her with cold, empty eyes and shut the door in her face. With no job, no family, and no support, Olivia's health failed. Daniel, however, focused on being a good father, a loving son, and an honest officer. His life became a testament to the fact that true strength isn't found in power or status, but in loyalty, patience, and integrity. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe for more.